Hi viewers, another episode of Guest Witness 8. Normally when we talk about the British society, we talk about football, we talk about cricket, but today we are talking totally different subject, basketball. And today's guest is basketball specialist. He has played for England team and also he has played for the various clubs. Our honorable guest is Mike Took.
Hi.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you for joining.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Please tell our viewers about your early days and your education.
Well, I'll just kind of give you a brief overview. I'm originally from Canada, just outside Toronto, Canada. I was born and raised there. Played high school basketball in Toronto, and was able to play at a high level that I was able to get some coaches from America to start coming up the border and looking at me. So I got offered a scholarship to go to a university in America, which is, it was called Loyola University. It's in Baltimore, Maryland, right near Washington, D.C. on the East Coast. And I had a fantastic time there. I was able to complete my degree there. We played in Division I, which is NCAA Division I, which is like the highest level of basketball that you can play at in university athletics in America. And then from there, I decided that I wanted to turn pro. So after I finished at Loyola, I signed with an agent, and he got me a job in Europe to play. And then I ended up playing in Cyprus, Luxembourg, France, and then in 2009 I came to Sheffield and played for the Sheffield Sharks. And it's been a great experience ever since I've been here. My first year here in 2009, we won a cup. The next year we won a cup, and we were the first team ever in the league to win back-to-back cups. And then in 2013 we won a trophy. The trophy is the BBL trophy.
We'll talk about your achievements and your winnings. I know you have won a lot of honors and for your club and also for the Sheffield.
Yeah.
But you have mentioned you have completed degree. So what was the subject of your studies? What degree you have completed there?
I did marketing in university, and with some PR and communications as well.
And how you find it? Is interesting and how?
Yeah, it's great. It's something that I've carried with me, and now I'm, as well as the basketball, I also work for Wasco Brown Solicitors in a marketing role for them. So it's helped me get another job, and it's always been something I've been really interested in.
Mike, you have seen both societies, England and also you bred and born in Canada. How you find different societies, especially in educational point of view, the education system?
I think both countries are there's a lot of similarities. Obviously, they both speak English. Canada was a British colony, so you kind of see small little details that remind you of Britain and Canada. But obviously, there is a lot of differences as well. Just in the education system, in Canada, you go to elementary school from aged 4 to 14, and then you go to a secondary school or a high school from 14 to 18. Whereas in England, I think you finish school roughly around 16, and then you can finish then and go straight into the workforce, or you can go on to college and then to university. So the structures are similar, but obviously there's a little bit of a difference. But I think overall very, very similar.
And what's about the club level and the structure of the basketball in Canada? If you want to explain for our viewers' easiness, so how you will say that, is it very complex or it's very easy?
I think in Canada it's very easy to get into basketball. There's lots of hubs and lots of small rep teams and clubs that you can go play for. I think the kids get started at a very young age in Canada. I mean, I started playing when I was 10 years old, but now today you see kids starting to play basketball at 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, so much younger. So they get a firmer grasp on the sport, and by the time they're 10, 11, 12, they're already playing at a higher level. Whereas in England, I think basketball hasn't really taken off as far as, not as developed yet. So there's not as many outlets for kids to go and pick up a basketball and start playing at a very young age. I've always been one to say that England is 90% football and then 10% the rest of the sports. So I think basketball is always fighting for a piece of that 10%. But in the UK right now, I think they did a study, it was either 2012 or 2013, and basketball came in as the second highest played team sport, second to obviously football. So there obviously is a market out there. I think kids are playing it, but it's just creating these avenues where you know, kids can start at a young age and then continue playing all the way up to you know, a pro level.
So what is your advice for the government in this country, that how they can increase the level of interest in this sport?
Well, I think a big thing was after the 2012 Olympics, basketball funding was cut by a huge amount. So I think, you know, the first thing is from a government perspective would be, you know, throwing a little bit of money at it so that we can start setting up these programs to get the grassroots level started again. I think in Toronto, especially, I saw an amazing pattern when Canada was is traditionally a hockey country. But in 1995, the Toronto Raptors, which is an NBA team, came to Toronto, and the NBA is the biggest basketball league in the world. So when they came into Toronto, basketball kind of hit the scene and started to take off there. And that's when, you know, people started to get into it, coaches started to get into it, more money started getting thrown at it. Now you fast forward 20 years later, and the 2014 and the 2015 first draft picks in the NBA were both Toronto kids, you know, who grew up watching the Raptors and playing basketball. So you see how big of an effect that NBA team had on that city. And it only took 20 years really to progress. And now Toronto is considered like a hot spot for basketball players, young basketball players trying to get to university or trying to turn pro. So I think it doesn't, I mean, 20 years is a long time, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not really that long. So if we're able to create that kind of culture here now and get the kids started as young as possible at a grassroots level, you're able to change the culture.
So if youngsters who are interested in this sport, so what are the key steps for them to come into this sport, and how they can improve their quality and the progression in this sport?
Well, I think the first thing is they have to find somewhere where they can go play. So if you're a kid in England right now, I would say, you know, you need to go and ask your teachers, or you know, your PE teacher, or your local professional team, or your local club, where can I go play? Do they have set up on the weekends? Is there a hub club, after school clubs, that type of thing? And then you gotta get your kids in there and get the kids over there to go play. And once the kids start playing and start developing, you know, the basketball world in England is very small, so people will start to know about you, hear about you, and then you'll eventually be able to go and play for a team, a rep team. You know, under 10 team, under 12 team, under 14, and then if you keep playing and developing your game, you'll be able to shoot up the ladder. So for example, in Sheffield, the Sharks now have it. So we have an under 12 team that leads all the way up to our professional team. So that's kind of the bones, the skeleton of it, and it's just trying to give a path for kids who want to play basketball professionally, give them a path, give them something to lead towards.
What is your experience? Because recently you have worked with the local primary schools, and what potential you have seen in the local kids? I
think there's a lot of potential. I think there's a lot of interest in basketball. Myself going into schools and doing basketball clinics and stuff like that, the kids love it because they don't really have that much exposure to professional athletes. Say, like, you don't see many professional football players in our area or in England going into the schools and doing that. So I think it's a great experience for the kids, and then for me, you know, it feels like I'm giving something back. I just think that there's not enough of it, and there's not enough coaches around in the schools to start leagues up. So for example, when you go to school in Canada, every school in Canada would have a basketball team, and then you would play against another school, and you would have an actual season and then a playoffs at the end of that season. Whereas in England, some schools have a basketball team, some schools don't. And if they do play games, it's more of like a one-off situation, or they'll go to a tournament for a weekend and then that's it. So I think that's something that they need to start to develop.
I think it's the same thing as I mentioned in my, the start of the show, that as England has a cricket and football, similarly in Canada, when we talk about this sport, is a lot of interest.
Yeah, in Canada it's all ice hockey, and now basketball is growing very much. But then lots of other sports as well: baseball, football, American football.
Mike, please share your experience when you played for England and how you feel, and against which team you played.
So my mother was born in England, so I actually have a British passport. The coach of England, Paul James, gave me a call up. This was years back now, and he was surprised to hear that I had a British passport, and then so he invited me to go play. So I've played 5 different matches with England. And they've all been against either Ireland or Scotland for some reason. But it's been a great experience. Most of them have been before big BBL competitions, so before the cup final or before the trophy final. One was we had a tournament in Scotland for a weekend where we played doubleheader against Scotland. But it's been a great experience. The guys that play on that team, most of them play in the BBL, which is the league that I play in England. So it's kind of like an all-star roster of all these players, and it was good to get together and train with them and be a part of it and wear England across my chest. There's no greater feeling than wearing your country across your chest.
And what was the feeling of your family that you are playing for England?
Oh, my mom was over the moon about it, and obviously I have a lot of family in England as well. All her cousins and my cousins kind of scattered throughout southern England, so they were all really happy to hear and surprised to hear that I was playing for the team.
Mike, please share your experience that playing one sport and having interest in any other. So did you play any other sport like football, cricket?
Yeah, growing up I played a lot of football as a kid. I probably played up to the age of 12. And then I played a little bit of ice hockey, a little bit of baseball. But then when I turned 10 years old, I was the tallest kid in my class. And my dad said, "You're going to be a basketball player." And so now I'm a basketball player. So basketball kind of took over from about age 10. I was always playing basketball, always going to basketball tournaments. Then at age 14, when I went to secondary school, high school, I was really fortunate. One of our PE teachers at the school, she actually played for the Canadian women's volleyball team. So she was really, really knowledgeable, really, really good volleyball player. Her name was Mary Krause. And she took a bunch of us basketball guys, and we all went and played for the volleyball team as well. So I played, throughout high school, I played basketball and volleyball, and both sports volleyball is a sport that I still love to this day.
ICC and, International Football Federation is working with the poor countries to improve the standard of the game and the interest of the game.
Yeah.
What, basketball body, international body for this sport is doing for the poor country? Are they doing any incentives, any special clinics for the poor countries? I
think that FIBA, which is the basketball federation, they do a lot around the world. Football and basketball are probably the 2 most popular sports in the world, because all you need to play the game is a ball and a goal, basketball goals are a little bit more complicated than a football goal, but you see them in every country around the world. There's always outdoor basketball nets everywhere. So it's a sport that any kid could play from any background. You don't need that much money to play. It's not like, for example, a sport like cricket or a sport like ice hockey where you need a lot of equipment and it gets expensive. So how
important is the height in this sport?
You need to. being tall in basketball gives you an advantage, but you definitely do not need to be tall in basketball. There's been a lot of all-star players that have been shorter players and have been very successful. One guy, for example, on the Sheffield Sharks this season, we had a guy named Gerald Brooks, and he was probably about 5'10". In the real world, that's probably a relatively average, above average height, but in basketball terms, that's not that tall. And he was very successful. He had a great season for us, and probably one of the best guards I've ever played with. I think when you're at that size, if you're smaller, it's more about speed and quickness and agility.
We're coming to the end of the show, but how this sport can help the charitable causes in the world?
Well, there's been a lot of charity basketball games with pro athletes before, and I think there's a lot of camps and stuff that are set up to get kids active and get kids out there, as a charitable cause. I myself have been going into a lot of schools around the region this year at no charge, and just trying to give back to the community and kind of get the word about basketball out there. So I think it goes hand in hand.
And how the present government in this country can improve the standard and the interest in the sport, especially in the schools? So any advice for them? I
think funding. If they put some more funding into it, and then educating people, getting more PE teachers and more schools on board with basketball, and having a coach at a guy who at least knows a little bit about basketball at every school will help. It'll help the game grow and help get more kids involved and playing the game.
Mike, who's your favorite player in any sport?
Who's my favorite player in any sport? Well, at the moment, I'd have to say it's definitely LeBron James. What he did this season in basketball, bringing a championship to Cleveland against all odds, against a really stacked up Golden State Warriors team. He definitely was my favorite person to watch in basketball this year. And basketball's my favorite sport, so I got to give it to him for sure.
What is your message for our viewers?
My message for the viewers is come out to a basketball game this year. Definitely everybody in Sheffield should come check out the Sheffield Sharks. Our first game will be at the English Institute of Sport on September 23rd against the Leicester Riders. And the Leicester Riders were the team that we saw in the playoff final last year at the O2, and we beat them. So it's going to be a really big, grinded out head-to-head match. So definitely get online, sharksbasketball.org, and get your tickets booked.
Mike, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Viewers, I hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Keep watching Sheffield Live, and we'll make sure in coming days we'll introduce more personalities and we will bring more knowledge for you. Keep watching Sheffield Live. Thank you.